Donald Trump was in downtown Manhattan as a defendant in a criminal trial. He's got to be there every day. There is no rules about whether he should be awake or not, but this is what he had to say. This is as he's leaving the New York City courtroom and found out, like, this isn't going to be fun for him. And, I mean, look, everybody wants fun, but they're going to have to find a jury, which presumably could take a couple of weeks. And certainly the Trump folks are going to want to slow walk that as much as possible. And then the case itself could take a month or two. But the only clock they have on this is Donald Trump losing his patience. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. If he at one point turns to his lawyers and go like, okay, just get a jury.
Right.
We'll deal with this. We'll stall on appeal.
Apparently, they're asking them questions like, have you ever been a member of the Oath Keepers or of Antifa, right? I mean, there's no Antifa membership, but they're trying to weed things out and trying to make it so that you have the most impartial jury possible. But Trump is still making the case that because everyone's from liberal New York, Manhattan, that they'll inherently be biased against him. And it's like, that's where you're from, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, you should commit your crimes in a place that you think is going to be more sympathetic to you in that case. But here's Donald Trump as he departs the first day of his, and let's be clear, it's a hush money trial, but the crime was falsifying business records to hide the expenditure of that money.
So thank you very much. We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go through the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student, and very proud of the fact that he did so well. And I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me
Pause
to
it for 1
escape
second. This is complete speculation on my part, but I would say 15% chance that he was ever going to go to this graduation.
Yeah, I think he's probably happy for the excuse.
And I wonder...
Nap time.
I mean, I went to Ivanka's, but am I going to go to Dum Dum 1 and 2 and then number 3? I don't think so. Tiffany, I didn't go to.
Who's that?
Exactly. Wait, what was the other kid I had? Tiffany, right. Okay. I mean, it's possible. It seems unlikely, but go ahead.
With his mother and father there, and it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today,
I'm going to say 15% chance that he would have gone at best. And I'm going to say, conversely, an 85% chance that Barron doesn't want him around anyways. But go ahead.
not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt. It continues, and it continues forever. And we're not going to be given a fair trial. It's a very, very sad thing. In addition, as you know, next Thursday, we're before the United States Supreme Court on a very big hearing on immunity. And this is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And the judge, of course, is not going to allow us. He's a very conflicted judge. And he's not going to allow us to go to that. He won't allow me to leave here for a half a day, go to D.C. and go before the United States Supreme Court because he thinks he's superior, I guess, to the Supreme Court. And we got a real problem with this judge. We have a real problem with a lot of things having to do with this trial, including the DA, because you go right outside and people are being mugged and killed all day long, and he's sitting here all day with 10 or 12 prosecutors over nothing, over what people say shouldn't be a trial. So I just want to thank you very much, but that I can't go to my son's graduation or that I can't go to the United States Supreme Court, that I'm not in Georgia or Florida or North Carolina campaigning like I should be. It's perfect for the radical left Democrats. That's exactly what they want. This is about election interference. That's all it's about. Thank you very much.
Aside from having to put odds on whether he would go to the graduation or not, we should tell you that I think New York, the murder rate is down like somewhere like in the lowest it's been in 60, 70 years.
One of the safest cities in the country.
One of the
too.
safest cities in the country. So, maybe not so much. Maybe that's the problem. We don't have enough murders, and so now the DA is just going around getting criminal fraud trials on people who lie on their corporate forms.
It just sounds complicated. There's this meme response to a huge block of text that might be like complicated and heavy where it says, I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though, or sorry that happened.
Yeah, right.
And that's how I feel listening to Trump talk about, oh, I got to go to the Supreme Court and I got all these problems. And
Too long, don't TLDR.
I can't.
Don't read.
It's too much. I hope it works out for you.
The reason, I mean, for people who may be getting a little confused with all the cases that he's involved in, the reason that this is interesting is because apparently this is the, or not apparently, this is the crime that is going to be alleged to have taken place before he was president, right? So that's what makes it distinct. The fact that it's also a criminal trial, right? That also makes it distinct here as well. From
There
some
are
of the
also
other civil
there are other criminal trials that he's
True.
facing in terms of the documents.
But this is the first one,
Yep.
right, that he's going to have to face as well. And then the other thing is that what he's going to probably try to argue is that he covered up the use of this money, this hush money that was paid to Stormy Daniels, because he was trying to conceal it, this extramarital affair or whatever happened, from his wife. That, I think, will probably be his argument. It might be his best defense. But the problem is going to be that Michael Cohen will testify that it was made an expenditure. And when you make it an expenditure, then it falls under campaign finance law. And that's what Alvin Bragg is going to argue. So, like, it sounds on its face as if it's maybe petty or you're going after a guy for having an affair. Like, is this, it's Bill Clinton all over again. He would never use that, but it's actually not that, because it involves the money and the campaign finance laws surrounding that money and what it was used for and how it was
the
concealed.
fraud, because
Yes.
they specifically concealed it. I mean, I suppose you could believe that Melania was checking Trump's books and then be like, hey, what's this? Why are you paying this money to the National Enquirer to sit on a thing? And
Right.
but that seems hard to believe. So, like, it's one thing to say we paid her so that my wife wouldn't find out. It's another to say that we lied in the books
Yes.
to keep it from Melania. Now, maybe Melania is just like, sweetheart, I'm bored. I'm going to go through the books again.
Yes.
Just one more time. Let me use the QuickBooks, and I'm just going to log in.
Yeah. I didn't really hear.
Incidentally, I should
Go
also
ahead.
say, as agitated as he was in that video, this was reported right here by Maggie Haberman, which suggests that maybe he wasn't quite as agitated in the courtroom.
Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes slack. Tell us about that.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep, and really his head would fall down. There have been other moments in other trials, like the A.G. Carroll trial, which was around the corner in January, where he appeared very still and seemed as if he might be sleeping, but then he would move. This time, he didn't pay attention to a note that his lawyer Todd Blanche passed him. His jaw kept falling on his chest, and his mouth kept going slack. Now, sometimes people do fall asleep during court proceedings, but it's notable given the intensity of this morning and a lot of what was being argued.
Trump appears.
Sorry, folks. That was a long clip. That was a very long clip. It was a little.
Your jaw went not just a little slack, really slack.
Yep.
I guess.
That's all right. That's the way I listen to things.
It's a little easier
the way I
maybe to
listen
take
to
a
things.
nap when you're not being criminally prosecuted. It just like,
Yeah.
I desperately, he's too proud, because I doubt he wants like any study of his brain, or to have his head cut open to get his brain cut out when he dies. But I want his brain studied. I mean, he really has the ability to just plow through life and not a care in the world, as he's on criminal trial right now.
An old man. It is true, though, that the courtrooms, I was in jury duty this time last year, and
Half the
especially
place is
jurors
asleep.
fall asleep, and
Sure.
it's wondering, like, oh gosh, is this going to be a problem? Are we going to be delayed because that person is very obviously snoring?